Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Hypeimmune Reviews. I'm School Writer, and today we're going to talk about Inherit the Wind. I have to admit that this was an interesting piece of media to review. It was first suggested to me by a friend, but I only decided to tackle it after some of my viewers suggested to me after my analysis of 12 Angry Men. It's always worth to remind my viewers that I'm not a historian. And while this movie was based on real events, I cannot give proper judgment on how close and loyal was the relation between the movie and the events that inspired it. So research. In the end, did this movie upheld its fame? Is it overhyped? Is it good? Let's judge this flick. Directed by Stanley Kramer, Inherit the Wind is a heavily fictionalized account of the Smoky trial, where a teacher was arrested for teaching the theory of evolution. In the small town of Hillsborough, the majority of the populace is composed by fundamentalists. Bertrand Grates is a teacher that violates the state laws when he teaches the theory of evolution to his students, and soon the council of the town is split. Some, including the mayor, want the matter dealt with swiftly and quietly, lest the city's reputation be tarnished before the country. But many wish the opposite. They want to make Cates an example to whoever defies the laws and the Bible, and think that the ruckus will attract tourists and make the town bloom. Things escalate when Matthew Harrison Brady, played by Frederick March, a famous politician that attempted 3 times to be president and failed all of them, arrives into the city to offer assisting the prosecution against Cates. This attracts the attention of Hornbeck, played by Gene Kelly. Yes, that Gene Kelly, a journalist of the Baltimore Herald, who arrives into town to announce that Henry Drummond, played by Spencer Tracy, will arrive and defend Cates, much to the consternation of the populace and especially Brady's. That because Drummond is a known defender of causes such as Cates, and a known agnostic. Now the whole town boils over the trial. I wasn't familiar with Stanley Kramer's style, this being the first time I watched one of his movies, but I was unsurprised to see that his directing has a style far long and sadly abandoned. He really seems to enjoy juxtaposition shots, where 2 elements of the same shot contrast heavily with each other, and longer shots to focus on the interactions. Sometimes the camera just slides to another spot while 2 actors are talking to recontextualize the scene, and since this is a drama movie, generally the pacing is slow in order to make things simmer, then boil properly before exploding. There isn't anything overly bombastic, but the camera speaks for itself with some really good but simple photography and transitions. The visuals also work very well with the music, but this is for the soundtrack. I really miss this high quality style. Attires and locales were made with care, even if some of the tricks of the trade will be obvious to modern audiences, such as the fake skies in some shots where characters are outside. But otherwise, it holds itself very well. Even if it's black and white, everything's clear even during the night shots, and the settings are as diverse as a large for a small town. Considering that Inherit the Wind is a courtroom drama movie, it's obvious that there won't be much heated action like firefights and physical combat, although some characters do get pretty close to exchange blows. I mean, there is verbal jousting, but there's more for the writing. Acting-wise, I'd say that this was indeed a good overall quirky cast and different contrasting styles of acting. I wouldn't say that Dick York as Bethany Cates and Donna Anderson as Rachel Brown, Kate's fiancé whose father is the local priest, were bad, but their style was more reminiscent of a pure romance movie with slightly exaggerated drama in order to heighten how this poor couple has been torn apart. This immediately clashes with Gene Kelly playing Hornbeck as the always smiling, absolutely but good-willy, acerbic, cynical reporter with his stereotypical round straw hat. He pops around almost as a pastiche of his other roles, always smiling and charming, full of energy, but no dancing this time, making acid comments at every opportunity. And their first meeting almost gives airs of MST 3000, with the reporter poking fun at the couple's excessive sugar as if he was part of the audience. Then this dual chemistry come in direct contrast and clash with Frederick Marsh playing Brady as an overly pompous failed politician, desperate for attention, almost too caricatural for this movie, which then clashes with Spencer Tracy playing a dead serious Henry Drummond, a lawyer that will burn himself to the ground if needed in order to nail a damn idea in the heads of those stone-skulled idiots and defend to his last breath the rights for independent thought, more fit for a realistic movie. Florence Eldridge then offers another contrasting point of view as Sarah Brady, the affable, intelligent woman who knows the bigger picture and chose at the least try to act as a diplomat between parties. And fun fact, Florence was married in real life to Frederick. All these characters do feel as if they come from 4 different movies of 4 different genres to clash against each other. But just because I said it's quirky, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It was a bit strange to me, but it's impossible to deny that it's fitting for each part. The boastful politician, the acid reporter, the jaded lawyer, and Frederick and Spencer may have completely opposite styles of acting, but they still do mesh very well and offer some genuine chemistry for 2 good friends that drifted apart due to irreconcilable differences. There is as much as a mutual but grudging respect between these 2 polar opposites as there are animosities, and they can easily switch from exchanging barbs to a pleasant conversation in a blink of an eye. So I'd say that while the acting in this movie was a curveball, it nonetheless hit the mark, and very well. I suspected, but I didn't know at first, that Inherit the Wind was originally a play. In fact, it was written by Jerome Lawrence and Robert Edwin in 1955. What rose my suspicion was the style of dialogue. It's somewhat flowery, metaphorical and melodic. Honestly, a style that I sorely miss nowadays, where everything is way too serious or worse, written with quips and mumbly, so mumbly that I need to use subtitles. But nonetheless, this movie's style helps give the movie a more bombastic flair. The plot is a simple courtroom drama with the usual recipe. You have the wronged party, you have the lawyer clashing with the prosecution, there's the part where everything seems to be lost, and then the epiphany which leads to the climax. But it's how the recipe is done and the ingredients used that make this movie stand apart in its peers. First, the story may be exaggerated, but it was based on real events, and it was surprising to see how these events matched the real drama. And second, the construction of the themes and the arc of these characters may have the intent of discussing the dangers of the McCarthyism, but due to how everything was separated in layers and the strength of the writing, at the same time it failed and succeeded. It failed in the sense that the layer of subtlety covering the McCarthyism ended obscuring it fully for viewers outside of its sphere of influence, be it time or geographical influence, and succeeded because, at its core, Inherit the Wind targeted McCarthyism base. Extremism. And it was really good at showing how extremism chokes independent thought, turns people against each other in bouts of feverish paranoia and desire to be part of a group. And denouncing extremism is basically an universal style that always manages to stay relevant independently of what face it wears. The movie chooses a surprisingly nuanced approach, at least surprising if comparing to modern movies. Its outer layer shows, but doesn't tell, the pious citizens of Hillsborough, their reinforced peace, telling each other that it's basically fine as long as their religion isn't crossed, preaching how the atheists' teachings will divide them, and make children turn against fathers. But through the movie you see that it's the very same victimized crowds, the ones who impose and burn, talking about the devil and condemning everything contrarian to hell. It's their extremism that separates families, friends and brothers. All happening in the background as the proceedings go on. It does make it look like it's a movie against religion, and considering how things are nowadays, you may be forgiven to think so, though more layers are revealed through the characterization. There is at most one character irredeemable evil, and no, it's not the persecutor. While bombastic and pompous, Brady is actually shown to be a man that's utterly driven in doing what he thinks is right, but also extending compassion and empathy, even if it means challenging those of his own faith. That holds at least until he is also driven by his own needs, in this process hurting those who he swore to protect. Drummond is also an interesting figure. While completely on the side of Kate and full on against extremism, he suffers from many of the failings of his former friend Brady. He can be relentless to the point of being callous and stubborn to the point of not realizing who he's dealing with, till his tactics are callously shut down. Both Brady and Drummond do play foils of each other in very interesting ways, such as backing down when called out for going too far. Everyone's just as fallible as they are multi-layered. It's what they defend that ultimately draws the line. And how. If I may be honest, there are far too many interesting points to be explained in this review, and every single one of them is poignant. The pacing is good. At most I've seen some people complaining about Rachel due to her just being a ping pong ball between players, but I do think that her role is to establish how everything is crumbling down around her and how her allegiances shift as people show what they are capable of, even if she's less nuanced as everyone else. But then again, Kate's isn't nuanced either. I especially liked Sarah Brady's point of view, but I won't spoiler it. Paired up against 12 Angry Men, the latter is more realistic and the nature of the arguments is its core, so the dialogues are more intense and, in my opinion, better. But Inherit the Wind is bombastic, theatrical. Its nature and nuanced views give it quite some value. I wouldn't be able to say which one's better because even if both are courtroom dramas, their nature is completely different. All I can say is that both are very much worth watching. Since this is an older movie, basically you don't have much music due to the focus being on dialogues. But here, old-time religion is used as the musical theme that varies according to the situation, sometimes with a heroic patriotic melody only to be twisted by the lyrics in contrast to what's going on in the scene.
Enough for me. Give me that old-time religion.
First haste to a sour apple tree, our God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
It's really good, especially at the end when the same songster starts singing "Mine eyes have seen the glory," showing the slow shift through the situation. I would absolutely recommend this movie. This is one of those stories whose message against extremism, and in this case religion extremism, is basically eternal. The production values are good, the action is good, the acting is good, the pacing is good. It's a bit old, but I'd say it holds up very well. I really found interesting how Drummond tactics have consistently changing through the movie, mirroring his frustrations and grit. He fails to make the courts reason, then change tactics, confronting them, then change tactics again, and the only thing that works is basically sabotage them from the inside, turning them against each other. But the thing is, he isn't against religion. First and foremost, he's an agnostic, not an atheist, if both are seen with equal disdain by the religious people. He admits that the Bible's a good book, but he says that it's just a book, and is upset when Hornbeck disparages Brady after his death. He says,
"There was much greatness in the man."
with genuine emotion, Brady was arrogant, craved attention, but the movie points out that all was lost as he adopted extremist views. The scene where the night before the sun being made in the Bible being compared with the millions of years before life sprouted on Earth was really good piece of dialogue. Sarah Brady offers an interesting point of view against the black and white morality. I really liked how she spent most of her movie on the background only to come out swinging when it was her turn to shine. And the thing that I enjoyed most in the movie was see that whoever the writer was, he knew very well that the only thing strong enough to truly sway the mind of an extremist was power and money. The only thing that changes the hand of the judge isn't, well, the well-made arguments or the impassioned speeches or even death, but the threat of retaliation from the outside world and the money everyone would lose in the process. That's it for today. Thank you very much, and see you all next time.